Okay, so this example is asking us to create a truth table for P or Q and not P or not Q. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our truth table, and as you can see I have one here already. I have sort of thought it out ahead of time, but you can always add the columns as you need them. So we're going to put our P, as we always start off with our P and our Q, and remember the truth table always gets set up the same way. So P is going to look like true, true, false, false, and then Q is going to always look like true, false, true, false. So this is the setup of my truth table. Now, what you need to do before you start filling in everything is you need to think about the order in which you need things and sort of do your top row first. So as we're looking at this compound statement, we see we definitely need a not P and we need a not Q. So those are two things we're certainly going to need. And then we say, before we can do the entire statement, we're going to need to know what this parentheses looks like. So that's going to be another one of my columns, P or Q. That's going to be the first parentheses. Then I'm going to need to know what this second set of parentheses looks like. And so we're going to have not P or not Q. And then once we have those two, right, we have this set of parentheses and we have this set of parentheses, we can then go ahead and find the and in between them. And so at that point, I'm actually going to be a little bit lazy, and I'm just going to write it this way because we already know what the parentheses are. And so basically, I'm just copying over that statement. So let's get started. Not P and not Q are very easy to fill in. They're just the inverses of what P and Q are. So not P looks like false, false, true, true. And not Q looks like false, true, false, true. Now remember, not every truth table is going to need not P and not Q. This particular one does. Okay, so let's move to the column P or Q. Now remember what P or Q, remember what the rule for or is. The rule for or is at least one of them has to be true. So now remember, for the column that we're looking at, we need to know this column here as well as this column here. These are the two columns that we're looking at in order to find P or Q. So we're going to compare what's going on here with what's going on here, and we know that at least one of them has to be true. So let's take a look at the first. We have true and true. That gives us certainly a true. Here we have true and false. That has a true, so we can put a true in there. Here we have false and true, and so we can put in a true again. But in this last one, we have false and false, which means that since we don't have one true, that has to be false. So now we have that column done, and we're going to move on to the not P or not Q column. So for the not P or not Q column, this time we're actually going to be looking at this column here together with this column, together with this column here. So those are the two columns that we're going to be looking at, and we're actually ignoring the first two columns. So again, we're looking at not P or not Q. So let's take a look at what we have. If we look at these two here, we have false and false, so neither of them are true, so that has to be false. If we look here, false and true, true and false, true and true. So each one of these three rows certainly has a true in it, and so we can mark off the rest of this column as being true. Okay, so let's take a look now at the very last column that we need, which is the and of the two columns we just found. So now, again, we're ignoring the first four columns, and all we care about now is this column and this column. And now again, we have to switch what we're thinking about and realize we're talking about and the rule for and is that they both have to be true. So let's take a look, right? Here they're not. Here they both are true. So that's going to be true. Here they're both true. So that's going to be true. And in the last one, again, they are not both true. And so this first one and this first one are going to be false. And so now our truth table is complete. Essentially, this is the final answer. And that's what, sometimes you'll see problems that want you to fill in the entire table, and they're looking for all the different trues and falses. Sometimes they want an example that just wants what the final answer is, and that would be the answer to this particular compound statement.